Hello and welcome to the Cause Cafe, a place where you'll learn how to effectively and successfully market your nonprofit in a digital world. Melanie and Christine are serving up fresh ideas to help you build and energize donors and volunteers.
All right, you guys. So you've been waiting for it, and here we are. This is episode 000. I don't know how many zeros. It's the first one.
Yeah.
Yay. So we have been just coming up with all kinds of ideas, content. We have been brainstorming. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes. Some of that we have shared with you. Some of it we have not.
Because it was ugly.
Because we were in our pajamas. Honestly, maybe later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're excited to get this kicked off. We're excited to get going. We're excited to share a little bit about us with you guys. And then also we're excited to get to know you guys a little bit better and how we can better serve you and help you on this little journey that we're going to go on together about marketing nonprofits in a digital world.
Yeah. So what I think we want to accomplish a couple things today. Really, we just want you to get to know us. And, you're probably wondering, well, do they have any authority at all? Why would these two women get together, and why would they think that they have something to offer us that will, make a difference in what we do? And
because we know there's a lot of voices out there. There's a lot of noise.
There is a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm.
We also get all of the crazy emails and the next best thing. And as it's kind of like the back in the day with all the snake oil salesmen. And who do you trust? How do you know? I'm sure you've been burned. I know you have, because I have.
Right.
And purchasing something and it's just not good, and most of the time it's just not relevant, or nor does it have the ability to do what it says it's going to do.
Or they didn't give you all the pieces that you need to do what it was supposed to do.
So if they want to upsell you to the next thing. So look, I'm Christine, this is Melanie, and I think we want to start by just talking about just some, nonprofit experience, because I think that's what makes us different. We have the marketing side down because we were both marketing in the private sector, and also marketing and working in nonprofits. And we bring a totally different vision and a totally different, really, I think a real clear perspective of what works and what doesn't work. So I think, Melanie, why don't you start and tell us about your nonprofit life?
So my nonprofit life. So I fell into nonprofit. I was doing marketing for small businesses and had launched my own company specializing in Facebook paid advertising. So lead generation, revenue generation for small businesses. And I went into nonprofit to basically volunteer my skills, take those. I knew how to work Facebook's tools that they provide nonprofits. So I said, hey, if you'll give me the reins to your Facebook page and your ad account, I will pay for your ads, and I will use Facebook's tools to basically get you additional exposure, because I knew they couldn't afford someone like me.
Right.
And I knew they probably didn't have the money for advertising. So I was kind of going in there as a goodwill. And through that, I got snatched up as an employee to run the development, or basically start a development department in a medium-sized nonprofit.
So I don't know if anyone was like, wait, stop. You did free Facebook advertising and paid for it for nonprofits. Wait, go back to that part. So Melanie, you no longer do that right now.
No.
She's not doing that right now.
Because I need sleep.
Who knows in the future if she will actually turn that back on. But you know what? We're going to do better than that, because I'm telling you, this woman knows her stuff. She's taken plenty of training. She burns the midnight oil in staying on trend with what's happening and how then to translate that and make that work for nonprofits. And you were saying to me earlier that Facebook favors nonprofits. Why do they do that?
So I didn't realize how much it was so until I was working with a small breast cancer foundation. And because you don't, as a business, the business tools that you get through Facebook are different than the nonprofit tools. So I had to learn how to use the nonprofit tools because they're not available to businesses. So I did some training with Facebook and, how do I use this tool? How do we do frames? How do we do ads? There was a rumor going around that they didn't nonprofits didn't have to pay as much for Facebook advertising. That was a lie. So don't believe that one. I know it was like, I was like, yay. And then we started running ads. I'm like, not so much. But they do automatically push your content out further. So the price is still the same, but
you have priority.
Yeah, right? You have priority. And if you know what you're doing, you can really leverage it to get the maximum that you can out of it. So you use all the same tips and tricks that you would as a business. Mm-hmm. And then you just, I don't know, you're just even smarter with it. Like, it's hard to explain. I don't want anyone to like eyes glaze over because there's a lot that's involved. But basically, Facebook has it set up to push your content out further because it's the feel good. Mm-hmm. And Facebook knows that negativity, I mean, things that go viral aren't always the good stories. It's the politics and, it's the stuff people like to argue about.
And there's tons of negativity on Facebook.
Right. So
they're trying to get away from that.
Exactly. So they will automatically push out the feel-good stuff further than they will anything else. And nonprofits, if you know your story well enough, like that should be what you're sharing. So they're automatically going to push that out further.
And you're talking primarily organic right now, right?
Right, non-paid, right.
Yeah, so let's be clear on the definition. Thank you. Anytime you hear us say organic Facebook post, we're talking about a post that isn't boosted or sponsored. It's just a great storyline or image that you're putting on your Facebook page for your organization. So I kind of got you off track. Tell us again about then the nonprofits. You were doing some work in the private sector and doing some nonprofits.
Yeah, so I went to a medium-sized nonprofit. It was transitional housing community and offered to do the same thing. They had lost their funding a year before, so I knew that there was a story and they needed some help and they needed exposure. And I went into them. I think I met with her for about 5 minutes before the executive director was like, I need you in front of my marketing committee like tomorrow. And I spent a few hours with them, once I got behind and saw, what's going on with the Facebook page, how big is their subscriber list, what do we have going on with the website. There was a lot more work that needed to be done before we could even move forward with a paid Facebook strategy. And so that was kind of my first, eye-opener to, yes, there's all these things that you can do, but if the back of the house isn't cleaned up first, you're going to be wasting money.
And we want to tell you that that's unfortunately is true with most of the nonprofits that we have had experience with. And I would say probably the same for businesses in the private sector.
Seriously, yes.
You've got to have the foundational things set up and laid out in order to do it right, or you're just throwing your money and your time and your resources away, even if it's just a non-paid post, or an organic post. So,
right. So I was going to turn into a subcontracting deal. And then really quickly, they're like, we have struggled putting a development department together. We know we need your skill set. We want you to come on board full time as a development director. And I had already had a little bit experience, helping with the nonprofits. And
right.
My thinking was to be able to better help my friends that were in the nonprofit sector, that I was trying to help with these advertising campaigns, is I really needed to know what was going on the inside, like what's going on the other side of the door with the nonprofits. Right. And it has been a huge eye-opening experience. So I've been with them, I was just figuring it out today, almost 6 months now. And it takes a lot to get that ship turned around, but I have learned so much. And then in that, I have people coming to me because the strategies that I am using, and I still have a couple business clients. And that's one of the reasons I stay away in touch with what's going on right now. And there's literally updates every single day, you guys. It's nuts. So I stay in touch with that so that I'm on the cutting edge. I don't want to be teaching you strategies that worked last year or even last week, because it's changing almost daily right now. So we want to be that resource for you that is current. We're not going to sell you old strategies from 1987.
Right. And and Melanie used the word sell. So we want to be really transparent. Our primary goal is to give you great information. We want you to know what's on trend, what's working, what tactics are really making a difference in the business world and the nonprofit world, so that you then can be the smart marketer or development director that you are. But you've got to have the information. And we know you don't have time to watch all the webinars, read all the articles.
Right. Know who to trust, who really knows what they're talking
and
about.
That's really the thing. I mean, you're going to be able to, I want you to know you can trust us to give you current on-trend information you can use. Having said that, we also have some products that you'll find on our website, thecausecafe.com. You can download them. They're not very much money, but they will set the foundation for you in understanding who you are, what you need to do next as an organization. And we'll also have a page dedicated for startups. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Right. So one of the biggest things that as of late, and it's great to see people are starting foundations and, starting nonprofits for causes, and being in the marketing world, automatically people are drawn to me. I mean, I have a pretty big network, so people are like, you need to talk to Melanie if it's marketing, or if it's nonprofit or marketing, they come to me. So I started having people that were coming to me that say, hey, we're launching this nonprofit. We have our website up. So I'm not talking about setting up your 501c3 and all that. I don't know anything about that. Talk to an attorney.
Yes.
I'm just talking about marketing, because it is so much easier to launch that ship when you have everything headed the right direction, for me to come in and be like, okay, now let's do this. Or, Christine to come in and say, okay, let's do this. But when you're in the situation like I'm in my current position, I'm like trying to turn the Titanic, because it was headed like into an iceberg.
Wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So, it's so much easier our thought was, if we could get their foundation set up at first, say, okay, get your story nailed and get your branding dialed in, then you're not headed in a different direction. Like, you can just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So
know your audience. That's the other key.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You have to know who you're talking to. And we should have a wager.
There we go.
I really think that she probably doesn't want to wager with me, but I think that the percentage has got to be 85% or higher of nonprofits who think they know who they're talking to, and they think they know who their core audience is, and you're wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Would you say 85%?
Yes. Oh, at least, if not higher.
Yeah.
Because we see this, coming, again, my history comes from the business world. So I would see this all the time, the owner or, whoever's in charge.
Whoever's doing
the avatar thing is huge. Like, you speak to your avatar. So you make up this fictional person in your head that's supposed to be your ideal donor or your ideal client. And you never know, or you used to not be able to know, is that the person that I'm actually attracting? You hope, like, that's the person that you're shooting for.
And sometimes it would be wishful thinking. This is the person I want to be the person that buys from me or donates to my nonprofit organization. But that might not be the one that you're attracting.
Yeah, so interesting case study. So the attorney that I worked for, this was the exact thing. So we had, she had painted in her mind that it was this person, and she was, an executive, and she's probably in her second marriage, and she has, this job, college educated, this income, blah, 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 blah. That's who we felt we were marketing, or they felt they were marketing to. So then when we were able, I was able to go through and research and get the actual demographics of who was paying attention to us, it was shocking. So from our website traffic alone, we were actually attracting younger married couples in their 30s to 40s. And this female executive that we were targeting was supposed to be like 65 and all this stuff. So in our mind, we're marketing to the 65-year-old, but realistically, our marketing was attracting the young family. And what would happen was they were coming to our website and then they would bounce because we're not speaking. We were bringing them in with our marketing, but we weren't speaking to them when they got there. So they were bouncing. And so it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is absolutely. So 85% or higher, private sector, nonprofit world. So, we're going to have some tools on our website. We're going to have some free tools as well that you can download. A lot of free information. These podcasts will be a wealth of information for you, and we'll definitely list out some of our future episodes so you can see what we're talking about, and we'll be publishing these about twice a week, so watch for those. We'll definitely put in print the days, and you'll know when they're coming, but please subscribe and share this with your nonprofit friends. But I want to get back to the fact that we will have a couple products, but that's not our primary goal. Our primary goal is really to make sure you have the tools you need. And because we both have nonprofit lives and experiences, we know what it's like to not have enough resources, not have enough sleep, not have enough time, not have enough money, really not to have enough of anything to do this mountain of a job. And so hats off to you, number one.
Not have a big enough email box that your emails start bouncing back. That happened to me like earlier in the week. They're like, your mailbox is full. I'm like, I'm going to go home now. We get it.
We totally do. And so we both have the private sector, a lot of great marketing, solid marketing experience that we continue to, we go to classes and take the webinars and do all those things. So we become a clearinghouse for you of what's great, what's important, what matters, and what's going to make a difference. So anything else about your nonprofit that you want to share? And then I'll talk a little bit about my experience in nonprofits.
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
rambled along.
No, well, that's what you do in a podcast, right?
I'm sure it will come out later.
So my background with nonprofits was working in the shopping center industry, and this was back in the 90s, and the word cause marketing or cause related marketing was just kind of being bounced around, and I'm definitely an early adopter in just about everything. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do this cause marketing. And so I created this program. I contacted the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Utah. This was in Utah at the time, and created this Playhouse event. And it turned into a big gala, and we raised a lot of money, and they did it every year for, I think, probably 10 years before they finally stopped doing it. But so it was really a wonderful experience for me because I was on the side of a sponsor, right? Putting together a great fundraising event and activity that raised a lot of money. So then gratefully, I was invited to be a trustee on their board. And so I sat on their board for a number of years. So I had the board experience. And then later on, there was a sweet young lady, Millie Flam, who lived behind me when I lived in the Salt Lake City area. And she ended up with pediatric cancer. And she's just an amazing girl. And as neighbors and friends, we wanted to do something to help her. So 4 of us got together and decided to do a 5K run, Millie's Princess Run, at Sugar House Park in Salt Lake City. And it was a huge success. It was a huge success because it was a family kind of activity where parents could bring or grandparents could bring their children and say, look, this is how we serve other people. We do hard things to serve other people. And
so important.
It was really wonderful. And so, flying on those laurels afterwards, we said, well, gosh, let's start a foundation. And so we did.
So innocent.
Oh, what we didn't know. But we did. We started a foundation, and it's really successful now. I hope you'll go to the website, milliesprincessfoundation.org. It'll be in the show notes, and check it out. It's a wonderful organization. So I feel like those are 3 of the areas that I covered. The next area was I also was invited to help with the startup of a nonprofit with a Grammy Award-winning band, Imagine Dragons. And yay, I love them. Buy their music, and big fan. And they started this foundation. It's called trf.org. The story is absolutely amazing. I mean, you've got to check it out if you haven't heard of these guys or their music. Where have you been if you haven't heard of their music? And if you have not checked out this foundation before, I hope you will. So, startup side, the board side, the business as a partner and sponsor side, and also just doing a small little community kind of thing, and a trustee. So having all of that experience on top, it's kind of been actually on top of all of my years of marketing experience, I think uniquely positions both of us to be able to be a huge help to you.
Right.
And that's what we want to do.
Right. So I started in marketing in the small business sector, as I kind of referred to before. So when I first got into the nonprofit and trying to set up this development department, Christine was my go-to. I'm like, what is best practice for this? And what is best practice for that? And what do you put on these acknowledgement letters? I was reaching out to her for everything. So she has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to nonprofit and just business and marketing in general. So I'm super excited to share things that we have met, at least monthly forever.
Yeah.
To just bounce these ideas off each other, because we're both we're always trying to stay on the edge. No one wants to be 2 years behind on what's going on. In marketing, the closer you can be to the next thing, whether it's good or bad. I mean, it doesn't all work out.
No.
But if you're at least in the realm, and we've been in it so long, you can kind of at this point pick out where things are headed.
Exactly.
Because we're in touch. So we know, when I first saw bots, and they were doing bot messaging and bot advertising,
blew my mind.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to watch this right now because that is genius. And then no kidding, now it's starting to take off. And so we learn how to do it before it gets big. And I think with nonprofits, when you're in the nonprofit world, you're just trying so hard to stay afloat. Like every day someone would be like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doggy paddling here, just keeping my head above water, and that's like, it's hard to have strategy or compete or be on the edge when you're like trying not to fall off the edge.
It's absolutely true. It's so true. And so, I mean, you can count on us then to stay on trend. And I want to point something out.
Right.
Just because we're, just on top of what's happening and we study, we research, we work it, we apply it to some of our clients and see what's working. And just because we're doing that doesn't mean that we don't also feel overwhelmed. So I know you probably don't even know where to start if we're talking digital marketing. And that's a generic and general statement. And I probably should make that because I'm sure there are some listeners who are like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm hoping to get some more information. And if you are more advanced, then I would invite you to send us a question. If you have a question that we haven't covered, all of you.
Right. Or if you're an expert in something, if you're doing something and you're just killing it, like we would love to have you on the show. Tell people, share your secrets.
We would love to have you on our show. And that's exactly what we want to do. We'll bring in some great guests going forward. We're going to give you the information you can use. Like we call it snackables. Remember that? Hashtag Snuggets. We started out with snackables.
Nuggets? I don't even know. We're going with Snuggets, people.
Hashtag Snuggets.
Yes, get
don't forget it. Yeah. Anyway. So we want to just chunk it down for you and make it so that you can just look at it and go, yes, this is relevant to us. Yes, this will apply to us. And yes, I can execute this. We just want to make your jobs easier.
Right.
So I want to talk about our commonality just a little bit. And then if there's anything else you wanted to say about your marketing experience, I would love to hear that.
Okay.
So we have this common thing. We have a lot of things that aren't common, like she's great with numbers and analytics, and no, not so much. But
you have the whole graphic design.
I have the branding, the look, the visual, the
all the pretty stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. So look, our dads were both entrepreneurs. So we grew up in a household that was entrepreneurial. And there's just something about that. I didn't realize it until I became an adult, but there's like a little switch here that got switched on when I was a child. And I know Melanie and I have had this conversation before where you literally see things differently. Like everything that you see through business eyes. You can't help it. Right? Because you've been raised in a certain way to think not only marketing strategy or, the color of the logo or whatever it is, you're looking at it from a business perspective. And so I think that's one of the messages that we both want to talk about here for a minute. And that is your nonprofit is a business.
Right.
Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So coming from the outside, I knew I would see things differently, but not to the extent that it is, because I have been in retail management and training, even a little bit of HR, like my whole life. That was what I spent the majority of my life doing. My dad was a small business owner. We lived in a small town. I saw the big name brands and companies, the Walmarts come in and just annihilate our small town, and the small businesses not make it. And one of the reasons that really drove me to figure out this whole Facebook marketing thing when I worked for a small business was you see the writing on the wall. And I knew that there had to be a way, because there's always something next. If something's dying, something's beginning.
Yes.
So I saw what was going on with Facebook and the advertising, and I was like, there's a piece there, and I know I'm ahead of it right now. And this could be the answer for small businesses. And when I figured it out, yes, it could be the answer for small businesses, then I knew it could be the answer for nonprofits. They just needed to be given the tools. So coming in, as working with small businesses and looking at the nonprofit, I kind of just naturally treat the nonprofit as a small business, which isn't always a popular. You come in as an outsider. It's not always a popular, I guess, vision or stance or whatever, but it's just I have a whole different set of eyes. I don't come from the nonprofit world, so I don't know the things that I don't know. Or how they always have, well, we've always done it this way. I'm so outside of that. If we've always done it that way, that's the first thing I want to change, because you can't always do something some way and make it. There is always evolution and things are always changing, and you've got to change with it, especially now in the digital era where everything changes so quickly. You can't do things the way you've always done, or you will not be here tomorrow.
So I want to challenge our listeners. If you are working with a nonprofit, I want to challenge you to look at your numbers, and I want you to look at whether or not you're trending down.
Yeah.
If you're trending down, it's probably because board members or staff members or certain people within your organization are saying, well, that's the way we've always done it. This is what we've always done. We've always sent a mailer out. We've always sent out an annual appeal letter. We've always had this event. We've always had that event. You probably do need fresh eyes, because I'll tell you what's happening. Not only are there better tools available for you to get more done, a better reach, and for less money.
Right.
There's also a change in the market, and it's called millennials. And we'll actually address that in some future podcast episode, because they see things differently. I mean, they're awesome. They have an altruistic heart. They have drive in small chunks and some other great things and other great qualities. But if you think that they're going to be your donors and your volunteers in the future, and they're going to look exactly like your volunteers and donors today, and you're going to be able to use the same language, and you're going to be able to use the same vehicles to communicate, tools to communicate, you're wrong. And so if you're trending down, I want you to look at your numbers. I want you to take a hard look. If you're trending down, it's probably because of that big red flag.
There's a lot of misconceptions too on the other side too. You know, you have that 55 and up demographic that is completely getting missed right now.
Absolutely.
Completely getting missed because people think, oh, they're not on social media. Wrong. Then not only are they on social media, it costs less to advertise to them because no one thinks they're on social media. So, I mean, it's just pushing the misconceptions. Another thing that you brought up that I want to point out too, because we're really big about not one size fits all. Christine had mentioned about, you know, maybe you've always done a mailer and you need to do something else. I'm going to flip that too and say, maybe if you haven't done a mailer in a long time, it might be time to do one.
Absolutely.
So there's not one size fits all or one, you know, it's okay. What have we been doing that's not working? What have we not done in a while? And what are other people doing currently that this is working for? Because we're actually going back to a mailer.
Yeah.
We're going back
As
to
an
a
organization.
strategic mailer to get some information from donors that we've lost in the last year. So, I mean, that's a strategy we're using right now that would be considered probably an old tired strategy, but that's why it's going to work so well because we haven't done it.
Yeah, it is going to work well. And gosh, we could talk about all of these things for hours and hours, and we promise that we're going to cover them in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But as we become more high touch in everything that we do with bots, with AI, with just everything digital, we also, you know, we're losing, you know, the paper feel in my hand, or some of the things that still really would have meaning, or at least capture the eye and the attention of the future donor or prospect. So it isn't one size fits all. And I think it leads us back to this foundational idea. If your brand isn't right, if you're a startup, we'll talk about that in a minute. If you know that your brand isn't right, if you don't have your story down, like what's my story, or my message sounds the same as the other nonprofit, you know, 25.
What sets you apart?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't really get that yet and you're not sure how to get there, we're going to have some tools for you. Some of them will be free tools. You're welcome to go to our website, thecausecafe.com, and download those. And some of them will be paid tools, but we promise that nothing is going to be too expensive because we've felt your pain.
Yeah, and we don't want to waste your time either.
No.
We're trying to cut through all the noise and cut through the BS and give you the actual stuff that you can use that we know in some capacity is working, and we'll always share how that is working and where it's working and you know what's not working as we come across it.
Yeah,
because you know everything that I have done has not been a home run. I will tell you that right now. There's been face plants. There's been that was a big waste of money or whatever. So it's not all winners, but the good news is neither one of us are afraid to try. Let us make the mistakes for you.
Yes, and we definitely make plenty of mistakes. But the good news with that is we now know what works, and we're going to share that with you. So anything else? You did some retail.
Yeah, so we were talking
HR.
earlier, and I want to get back to this. This was before we were recording, or actually, technically, it's when we thought we were recording, but we weren't recording.
She had to tell you that.
This is reality. This is how transparent
Christine
we are.
did not push the record button correctly.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. But we were talking about, and it kind of ties into what we were just talking about knowing who you're talking to. So we could have this idea, and I've seen it in small business before, where we had this, what they would call an avatar, and it's who you think that you are. It's your ideal donor, or if you're a business, it's your ideal customer, and you have this picture of who they are.
Yeah, and I just want to point out another name for avatar is persona. So you may have heard of, we have to have our persona. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to know.
So it's who you're talking to. So there's a couple of things that I've seen, and this is very common in marketing, especially in small business. You can have that avatar, that persona that you are trying to talk to, and then you can also have the people that are actually listening. And you have to decide when I came to the nonprofit that I'm working for now, they had an idea of who they were talking to. And then when we pulled the data and did the research on, okay, who's really listening? Who is on our subscriber list and what are their demographics? Who is on our Facebook page and what are their demographics? It wasn't who they thought they were. They were actually the basics of both. The email subscribers were about 20 years older than the Facebook ones, and they lived in a completely different part of the valley. So there was a whole bunch of different things. So we know now, using this information, that when we run our newsletter, we're generally talking to this person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are on Facebook and we're doing a promotion, we're talking to this person.
Another group.
And we're going to speak to them in different ways. You can't blanket your marketing if you really want to connect with the donor. And right now, that's all what it is. It's not like
one message for everyone.
Yeah, and you're not selling something, you guys, especially in the digital world. It is so much about relationship and transparency and authenticity and really connecting. The donors want to be part of the story, and we use that in our marketing, be part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want, because if they're not part of your story, they're going to go where they can be part of the story.
Exactly.
So you've got to, speak to them in a way that they can become part of that. And you're only going to figure that out for one, getting the information, and that's something I'm going to be able to help you with, and we'll have more information on that further. But also, testing out, when we use this type of image, what reaction do we get? When we use this type of image, what reaction do we get? It's a lot of testing and figure out what's going to work, because regardless of what, I would say industry, if you're in a business, but what type of nonprofit you are, whether you work with people or animals or
research, whatever it is.
It's all going to be different, but you're going to have to test and see what responds to your audience. And I would do that before I would start trying to steer the ship in a different direction. Find out who's listening right now, and can you leverage that before you start, well, we don't want to talk to that person. We're trying to talk to this person over here, but you have all these people in front of you. Yeah, like speak to the people that are already there. Like obviously this is more for the nonprofit that is established and has an audience and has some sponsors and fans and all that and volunteers, but it's so key.
It is. And as Melanie was talking, I was like, if I were in a nonprofit right now and she was talking, I'd be like, this sounds so complicated. I don't even know what to do.
Right.
It is complicated. We're here to help you with that.
Right.
We're gonna give you really easy tools and some things that, and again, a lot of this will be free for you, that where you can just do it quickly. And we're going to, again, chunk it down for you so that you can maybe work on a couple things every day or one thing every day, so that you can find out where you are, who you should be talking to, what your brand really is. And really figure out your messaging and your story and segment. You need to segment those groups, which is kind of what you were talking about, so that you're talking to them at the right time, in the right way, in the right place. It's gonna be a game changer for you. Absolutely 100% a game changer for you. Let's talk about startups really quick, because we're gonna dedicate a page just to nonprofit startups. And Melanie's been contacted recently a lot.
Yeah. So for some reason it gets around. So when anyone has marketing questions, I'm the person. When anyone has any type of Facebook marketing, that they send them to me. And then as of late, if anyone's like starting a nonprofit or like has the little baby nonprofit and they're like, okay, we're ready to get going, they come to me. So I had just recently last week, another one reached out to me via Facebook. She's like, okay, we're going to run with this. We've got all this in place, you know, so they're little. I think they probably have like 1 or 2 board members
just getting started.
Yeah. And they've got their website up. They haven't even had their first fundraiser. It's not till next month. But she's all, can you just look at this and give me any advice that you have? And so I called Christine because I'm like, this seems to be having a lot. Because once you get the word out that we kind of know what we're doing, then, you know, it just comes in, which is great. So we were kind of looking at putting something together so we can get you guys started off, the ones that are brand new, on the right foot, because it's so much easier to be headed in the right direction right off the bat than it is to be in the situation where I'm in my current nonprofit, where we're literally trying to turn the Titanic because they kind of headed off in the wrong direction, you know, with too many chiefs in the kitchen, which is very common in a nonprofit. When everybody has a little piece of the vision, but there's not one common vision.
Yeah.
And someone that's really going to toe that and not let anything
like
slip
the
by.
person that has the largest voice, right?
Is what you get. And then you end up with like 17 brand new pieces. This was exactly what like everything in a folder. And I'm going to actually share the before and after pictures because I took the before and after pictures of everything in the folder, and the nonprofit can understand why people didn't know more about that. I don't understand how people don't really know about us or that we're here, or this is what we do. But every single marketing piece looked completely different. And so much of marketing is still subliminal. Yeah. It's like you see that color, that logo, that style of picture, and the more times they see it, the more times they're like, oh, that's this nonprofit. Oh, that's this nonprofit, until they recognize it. But if every piece you have, and this is more Christine's baby, this is what she does. But I've learned a little bit myself, but it's like all of it matters. Like it all matters.
It does.
So much more than you think it does. It's not just a brochure. It's not just a email signature block.
That's
true.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even start there.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yes, it is. So I just wanted to mention for our startup friends out there this true story. The two, Millie'sPrincessFoundation.org and TRF.org, in the first 6 months, we changed our logo twice. Both of those organizations, because we were so excited. We got started. Somebody's cousin's uncle's dog walker just graduated from college and could do a graphic design and for free. And so we were like, yeah, woohoo. And so they designed these logos, and they were okay, but they weren't the brand. And we're going to talk a lot about branding and why that's so important, and storytelling and video and other really key components to making a difference for you, like in really understanding what to do and when to do it and how to do it.
If I can give you one marketing tip just right now, because I face this all the time. In the business world, it's no different. Don't get married to anything. Like, please don't. I know even if you designed it or your daughter designed it or whatever, if you're long-term to make a difference, or whatever your why is for why you started this foundation, you cannot get married to any one piece of anything. I don't care if it's an image, a content, a logo, like, just don't, because things change, and if you want to be in this for the long haul, you're going to have that flexibility. So just don't get married to anything. Because I see it all the time. They're like, I don't want to let it go. And, 5 years down the road, it's completely irrelevant and it's not working.
Or really, honestly, it wasn't relevant from the beginning. Right. And then it just becomes more apparent as time goes on.
As you grow,
you're like, oh,
and it's like the pink elephant in the room.
Yeah, if we could have done something differently. If we could change this now, we would. And a lot of nonprofits and businesses do that to great expense. They'll change it,
because now you're changing everything.
Yes, and then you have to change all your website and all your printed collateral and everything else. So if that's you, that's okay. We can help you with that, and it's okay. We can help you find out who you are. And that sounds so oversimplified, but it's actually the truth. I think that you're so excited about your mission and making a difference that, and so you get out there, and there's all the legal stuff, and there's, finding the volunteers, and it's just so, I remember it. Oh man, I probably slept 2 hours a night there for a while. Your first big events, your fundraisers, all of that, I get that passion and that excitement. But what happens is you never stop to really say, who are we? Who are we as an organization? And that will drive not only the look and feel and the logo and the colors and the tagline and mission statement, it will drive business decisions. Surprisingly.
Right.
So,
and the key to all of this is it's so much more than it sounds. It's not just, a brochure. It's not just all this, like all of these pieces done properly will do work for you literally while you sleep. If they're done properly.
Genius.
So let them do the work for you. That's why it's so important to put that work in the front end, because you need every single thing. You need to leverage every piece that you have.
Absolutely.
So it's worth it to do the work in the beginning, and it will pay off down the road. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my marketing experience, and then we'll just probably wrap it up, talk about some future episodes.
Okay.
So my background, I thought I'd be a dentist for some crazy reason when I was attending college, and didn't do any of those things, but I had a lot of small businesses. You said you had some MLMs.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
it's
invite
that entrepreneur. Yeah, don't invite me to MLMs. I'm like,
I have just a lot of businesses. I had my real estate license. I had my life insurance license. I had a gift basket business, a catering business, a tanning bed business. I had a small little gymnastics.
A tanning bed business?
Yeah.
You don't have one like laying around in here somewhere?
Yeah, no. And if I did,
we would be less pale.
No, I would never use it because I know so much more about how dangerous.
Oh, okay. That's your health warning for
yeah, it is. I know. I would never do it now. I look back at that and go, oh my goodness, that's shocking. But so I did all these things while I was raising, my wonderful large family. And again, thank you, Dad. I love you so much for the entrepreneurial drive and spirit that you've given me. But then I was recruited. I did some other little things, but then I was recruited into the shopping center industry. And what a great experience that was for me, because, it's an asset, and asset management is it's business. It's a really interesting thing, because my job in marketing that shopping center was to make sure that, and the other shopping centers I eventually acquired, was to make sure that the asset was worth more today than it was yesterday. And tomorrow it'll be worth more than it is today. And there's a lot of pressure there and a lot of responsibility to make sure that every marketing decision you make and every strategy pays off. And so it was
immediately. Pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar if you're in a nonprofit.
Right. It does. And so that was so great. And then I had the opportunity to join as a partner in a small advertising firm. And that was fabulous, because that's where I really gained my design eye. I'm not a graphic designer by nature, but I have an eye for, color and style and composition. And so being in that environment and writing a lot of content and copy and ad headlines. And when we were small, we wore a lot of hats, and it was awesome. It was just such a great experience. And that's really where I kind of got exposed to even the digital side of things, because we were building a lot of websites, and we were building websites that have really cool capabilities in the back end that kind of blow your mind. And now it's everyday common stuff. But back then it was, in the 90s, it was really, really cool. In fact, I have to share this really quickly. We did a Christmas card that was a digital Christmas card. So you got it in your email, and it snowed. There was snow coming down in it. And it was animated. And then you also had to answer a question every day. And we gave away these really cool gifts. And it was real time kinds of things. So we would put a question up, and there would be an answer that we would do an answer real time.
Via email?
Yeah. No, I think it was web-based.
Oh, actually, it was
but you signed up email, you got your cute little card with the snow, and then you clicked the link, you went to the web. But this is in the 90s. And so I felt like we were so far advanced. And one of the things that taught me is to stay on top and on trend of what's happening in digital marketing. And so ever since then, that's what I've tried to do. And so, social media and all those things coming on board, and how do you really leverage that for a business or for a nonprofit. And so I learned all those things quite a while ago. And I did some other things. I started my own. I know, Melanie, you have your own LLC. I have my own C Corp. And so just a lot of consulting work. And then, of course, I had my great nonprofit years. So that's kind of me, the wrap up of the entrepreneurial side, business side, marketing side. nonprofit side. So I think that's kind of unique. You have a lot of the same.
Yeah, so I still do private clients on the Facebook advertising. So that's part of the reason I stay, I owe them to stay up to date on what's new and what's cutting edge. But one thing that's similar about both of us is we actually enjoy learning all that stuff.
Yeah.
For some people, it would be a chore or a pain. Like I get excited when I'm like, ooh, I like to be the first to know. So, when bots were coming out and you could figure out how to do the messenger bots, so you don't have to do anything, I was like, I want to learn how to do that. So it's frustrating as all get out because I'm really not a technology guru. If you watch some of our stuff, we're kind of like flimsing around in here.
Is that on record?
we can't. This is why we don't do professional video or anything. We know a guy for that.
Yes.
But it's exciting for me to learn because I like to be in the know, especially with the cutting edge. And there's so much. I don't think power is like the right word. To be able to leverage that for good. So many things in the world are leveraged for bad. But I almost feel like this is my opportunity to leverage for good.
So we're going to make a difference
and
help you make a difference.
Right.
That's cool. I like that.
Leverage for good. Yes,
we're going to do that. Well, look, we have some episodes coming up that I think you're going to really like. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking a lot about video, which is, key. So crucial. We're going to help you, wrap your hands around that and get that figured out. We're also going to be doing, some things about the right call to action. You need a call to action. You need to, people want to be told, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is what I want you to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really that simple, but we'll break it down for you so that you can apply that really well to what you need from donors and sponsors and volunteers. We have a lot of things. What else?
One of the biggest things, like my square one, whenever I'm working with any nonprofit, is what's your story? And so we're really going to be drilling down on what's your story. There's, you're up against, it doesn't matter what type of nonprofit you are, you're up against, 700 other nonprofits that do the same thing.
Right.
So what's going to separate you? Why you? And so we've got to get that story nailed, and every part of your marketing talks to that story. So we're going to really dig into that one. Mm-hmm. So that's where I always start with nonprofits and help them figure that. I know Christine has some great workshop tips. We're gonna really dig into that because that's really the foundation for moving forward with anything else.
So I'm just going to tell you the next podcast, podcast 001, will be our secret ingredients, the best of no-cost, low-cost digital marketing tools. So we're going to tell you where to go to get things that basically are free or won't cost you very much. Right. And these tools will change your life. I guarantee it. They've helped me be able to juggle a lot and a lot of different things that I need to be doing. So I'm excited about that one. We'll have a lot of great things to share. And then Melanie, we've got our second one.
Yeah, so we're going to be going over why Facebook is driving you bonkers. So there has been a lot of collateral damage from when I say back in the day, like it really wasn't that long ago, where you got a lot of your supporters and fans online and they were seeing all your content, and now it's like crickets. So what do you do if you're in that situation? How do we revive that? Some tips, some tricks, why it's happening, what's going on. We're going to go through all of that because there's just been so many drastic changes. Mm-hmm. And it's not, you don't necessarily have to pay for everything. We're going to show you how you can kind of restart some of that, what it means, what they're looking at, why you're getting penalized. I'm going to go through all that on that episode.
That will be so great. So these are organic posts, and Facebook has been driving me bonkers. So I'm excited to learn more from Melanie about that. So I think that's it. If you do have questions or suggestions, if you're an expert at something that you think will be of benefit to our listeners, we invite you to send us an email, meet me at thecausecafe.com.
Yep. All right.
That's it. I think we're signing off. We're excited to have completed our first podcast that we recorded.
I know. We did it.
Bye now.